In addition to this video tutorial, you can also find written instructions on our website, and I'll put a link to those instructions in the description of this video. A couple important things to note before we get started with the instructions though. First, please note that the submission of FFRs will be based on 2 reporting periods. The first reporting period covers September 1st through March 31st, and that's the reporting period we'll be using in this example. And on April 15, the report will be due for that reporting period, and we refer to that as the semi-annual report. The second reporting period is April 1st through September 30th, and there's a final report due on October 15, and that final report should also accompany your closeout forms. Also, please note that this example is for single award reporting. And with those things out of the way, we can actually begin to walk through step by step how you'll go about filling out an FFR. The first 9 boxes are all related to cover information. So in box 1, we'll simply enter the name of the federal agency, and in this case, it's the Corporation for National and Community Service /MCSC. In line 2, we'll simply enter the grant number that's been assigned to the award by the federal agency, and you can find that number in your grant document. In line 3, simply indicate your recipient organization's address, including the name and complete address as well as zip code. In box 4A, please indicate the recipient organization's Data Universal Numbering System, or DUNS number. In line 4B, indicate your EIN number. And in box 5, you'll want to enter the account number or any other identifying number assigned by the recipient to the award. This number is for the recipient's use only and is not required by the federal agency. And you can see in this example that I've already selected something and entered it into box number 5. In box 6, we'll want to indicate what type of report we are filling out simply by checking the appropriate box. In box number 7, I need to specify whether a cash or accrual basis was used for recording transaction related to the award and for preparing this FFR. In box number 8, I'll be indicating the period established in the award document during which the federal sponsorship begins and ends, or in other words, the start and end date of the grant. In this case, I've indicated September 1st of 2010 as the start date through August 31st of 2011 for the end date. In box number 9, I'm indicating the reporting period end date, which again, this is our semi-annual report, so the end date is March 31st of 2011. And now that I've completed boxes 1 through 9, I can scroll down and begin filling out all of the line items under number 10, transactions. In the following line items, I will be entering cumulative amounts from the date of the inception of the award through the end date of the reporting period that I just specified in line 9 above. And as you can see, I'll be using lines 10A through 10C, lines 10D through 10O, or lines 10A through 10O as is specified by the federal agency. If you have any questions about which lines you should be completing, please don't hesitate to contact someone from the Michigan Community Service Commission staff on the Learn and Serve team, and they'll be happy to tell. For line 10A, I'm going to enter the cumulative amount of actual cash received from the federal agency as of the reporting period end date. And for this example, I'm simply going to enter $8,000. For line 10B, I will be entering the cumulative amount of federal fund disbursements or expenditures as of the reporting period end date. Disbursements are the sum of actual cash disbursements for direct charges for goods and services, the amount of indirect expenses charged to the award, and the amount of cash advances and payments made to subrecipients and contractors. The sum of the cumulative cash disbursements on the FFR attachment must equal the amount entered here on line 10B. And in this case, my actual expenditures are going to equal $9,000. In line 10C, I will be indicating the actual cash on hand, which is line 10A minus line 10B. And in this case, I actually have to enter negative $1,000. This amount represents the immediate cash needs pending payment. Please note that if more than 3 business days of cash are on hand, the federal agency may require an explanation on line 12, explaining why the drawdown was made prematurely or reasons for the excess cash. Now we'll take a look at the line items under federal expenditures and unobligated balance. On line 10D, I will enter the total federal funds authorized as of the reporting period end date. And in this case, I'm going to indicate $16,000. On line 10E, I will enter the amount of federal fund expenditures. For reports that are prepared on a cash basis, expenditures are the sum of cash disbursements, the amount of indirect expense charged, the value of third-party in-kind contributions applied, and the amount of cash advance payments and payments made to subrecipients. For reports that have been prepared on an accrual basis, expenditures are the sum of cash disbursements for direct charges for property and services, the amount of indirect expenses incurred, the value of in-kind contributions applied, and the net increase or decrease in the amounts owed by the recipients for goods and other property received, services performed by employees, contractors, subrecipients, and other payees, and programs for which no current services or performance are required. Please do not include program income expended in accordance with the deduction alternative, rebates, refunds, or other credits. And for this example, I'll be entering $9,000. On line 10F, I'll be entering the federal share of unliquidated obligations. Please note that you should not include any amount in line 10F that has already been reported in line 10E. Also, do not include any amount in line 10F for a future commitment of funds for which an obligation or expense has not yet been incurred. On line 10G, I'm simply adding the sum of lines 10E and 10F. And for this example, obviously that's $9,000. And on 10H, I'm entering the amount of line 10D minus line 10G, which gives us $7,000. My next step is to move on to the section titled Recipient Share. And in this section, I will enter the total required recipient share for the reporting period. The required recipient share should include all matching and cost sharing provided by recipients and third-party providers to meet the level required by the federal agency. Please note that this amount should not include cost sharing and match amounts in excess of the amount required by the federal agency. And for this example, I'll be using $24,000. On line 10J, I will enter the recipient share of actual cash disbursements or outlays, including payments to subrecipients and contractors. Please note, on the final report, this line should be equal to or greater than the amount of line 10I. And in this example, I'll be using $12,000. On line 10K, the remaining recipient share to be provided, I'll simply be subtracting $12,000 from $24,000, which gives us $12,000. We're now ready to move on to the next section, which is program income. There are a couple important things to note, though, before we move forward. The first one is that you should not complete this section if you are reporting on multiple awards. The second thing to note is that the next two sections, program income and indirect expense, won't apply to most programs. If you have any questions as to whether or not you should be completing program income and indirect expense sections, don't hesitate to get in touch with one of the MCSC Learn and Serve staff. Because the next two sections won't apply to most grantees, we'll simply scroll down to section 12. As I mentioned before, the remarks section is there so that you can enter any explanations or additional information that may be required by the sponsoring agency. And this should include any excess cash that was listed on line 10C. Section 13 is the certification section and should be fairly straightforward. By signing this report, you'll certify that it's true, complete, and accurate to the best of your knowledge. And once you've certified and submitted, you're done. And finally, if there are any questions that you have along the way, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. The easiest way to find out who to contact is to look on our website. To get there, simply navigate to www.michigan.gov/MCSC. Once you're there, you'll see a page that looks something like this, and you'll want to click on Contact Us. Simply call and let the person who answers know that you need to talk to someone on the Learn and Serve team about completing a financial report. And don't forget, for full written instructions, you can visit our website.